It's Monday. It is September the 8th. It's about 4:30, and today we didn't have any students. We had a in-service day, so no students, but we had pretty much a staff meeting all day with like different components. Like we were talking about different things. I did present during one portion of the staff meeting. I presented on culturally and linguistically responsive teaching practices. Specifically, I focused on the use of callbacks. It's not anything that I designed. This is the work that we've been doing with Dr. Holly, and the slides and the presentations are it is preset by the district, and then they just need teachers to facilitate. So the principal asked me to facilitate it since she knew that I did that at my previous school and that it is work that I personally am committed to keeping going. So I said yes. So I feel like that went well. Anytime I present, I always feel like, did I say everything I was supposed to say? Was I making any sense? But that is done. And then we had some other tasks we had to complete as a grade level. I'm not really gonna bore you with that. And then by 3 o'clock we were done, and then I've been in my room for about an hour or so, just making sure I'm ready for tomorrow. I'm gonna go home soon. I don't have my slides or anything ready, so what I said I was going to do, which I have done so far, is when I get back to my classroom, I need to be going this way, I think. When I get back to my classroom, I'm gonna do all the things that really require me to do them here, and the things that I can do from home, I'm gonna do from home. So that's what I'm gonna do. My slides are not made for tomorrow, but I can do that on my laptop at home. So all I need to do before I leave, I just realized as I was talking to you guys, is I need to staple down that work that I pinned up on Friday. So I'm gonna staple that down so it's not flapping in the wind when the district gets here tomorrow. And then I'm gonna go, because I have to go to Office Max to pick up my September callback poster that I made. It's gonna look just like that, but it's gonna have new callbacks. And I need to cook also. But I also made sure I prepped for tomorrow's science experiment. It is basically going to test what substance, what did I pick? Is this sugar? Yeah, sugar, baking soda, or salt melts ice the fastest. So I just got all the stuff out for that. The intent of that project or experiment, I should say, is to teach them about independent and dependent variables. Sorry, I'm just taking you guys all around town. So that is prepped, and I think I should be good to go. We have a district visit tomorrow. I honestly, and when I say this, I am not in the belief of putting on a dog and pony show when they come in, because I think when you're putting on a dog and pony show, you probably look and sound like you're putting on a dog and pony show because you're not being natural. So, you know, I don't adjust lessons. I don't manipulate lessons to do something that I think they would want to see. It's just kind of like, if you really want to see what day-to-day life is, this is what we're doing today. Get into it. like this is it. So I don't want to feel like I'm being performative, and so I don't. So tomorrow, based on the estimation of when they'll be here, they might see me do science like that. If all things go well and we're on schedule, that's what they'll see. I don't know what part of science they'll see. They may come in and we're just simply cutting the paper, getting ready for the foldable, but that's what's going to be. But I do make sure my room is neat. Like, I'm not gonna have dust and all that everywhere, you know, because we have guests and you don't want guests coming to your house and it's a mess. So that is tomorrow. But I'm really just here to say hello, let you know what I did, and let you know what I'm gonna do. I don't think I'm gonna vlog when I get home, just because, and I also cut myself. Do you see this? There we go. I cut myself prepping for science. Ow, and that really just hurt, because I was cutting something with scissors and wasn't paying attention to my finger being there, and snipped just the tiniest little piece of my finger off, and it hurts. So I'm really just here to say hello, let you know what happened today, how it went, and and how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like I have a lot of things to do. I did get some stuff done over the weekend. I got some grading done. Now I just need to get the grades in the system. I am still a little stressed because parent conference week is coming up and I need to get stuff set up for that. But I have to really remind myself to take one task at a time and prioritize. And right now I have to prioritize being ready for tomorrow. So all that being said, hello, happy Monday. This is really bleeding right now. I'm not gonna vlog when I get home. So I'm gonna clean this cut, put a Band-Aid on it, I guess. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Look at that, spider webs in the window. That's good. That's nasty. Oh my God. Oh my God. Band-Aid on my finger. Hold on, you guys. Like, I put you down on something that's near the window, and as I'm putting you down, I'm seeing this very disgusting spider web in this windowsill that I did not know was there. Well, I don't know if I want to say thank God I cut myself, but the positive is I can now see that that's there and take care of that. Oh my gosh, this little thing is really bleeding. Let's get this little duster out. I'm very grossed out right now, but I don't have a choice. And I don't have the thing that lifts this up. Oh my God. And there's like a literal mosquito in the window, so I'm touching its wing. Oh my God. I'm just really disgusted by that. Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay. I spin the blinds. It's all clean now. So sorry I had to take you along with me on that traumatic moment, but the windowsill is clean. See you tomorrow. Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to talk really fast. Let me turn off this music. It is before school. Bell's going to ring. I didn't get to vlog yesterday because A, I just was having a day. B, I had a union meeting after school, then I had to get ready for the next day. Then I went home and I just was in a mood. Like, the mood is really just based on me just trying to figure out, like, my body, my cycle. It's odd that I'm talking about that in my classroom, but that's just kind of what it is. And so I did make a doctor's appointment. I am going to get an endometrial biopsy next month to kind of rule out some things. Of course, it's a little nerve-wracking because, like, I'm reading the notes through Kaiser and it's like you're getting this biopsy to rule out, I think they refer to it as precancerous bleeding. So that's nerve-wracking, but members on my team have said that they've had it done as well, and so it's not totally abnormal, but still. So I think just there's a lot of anxiety surrounding that, and a lot of just frustration with my body, as I've been mentioning for months. Like, just when it seems like things are getting back to normal is the precise moment when they actually are not back to normal. So I think my intention was to vlog when I got home yesterday, and then I got home. It was later than I thought. I ended up talking to my firefighter, and I had to talk to my principal also. She called while I was on the phone with him, and I had to tell her, you really got to get in where you can fit in with their schedules, especially during this time of year where he's just perpetually at work. And so we were on the phone for a while, and by the time that was done, it was late and I needed to get ready for the next day. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just not gonna vlog. But I'm here today. There's some things that I wanted to share in terms of what I did in the classroom yesterday. So I'll do that later because I don't have time now. But I'm really just here to say good morning. And I was just getting some things ready, and I was looking at Zingy Learning, which is a computer-based science review program that I used at my very first school that we are bringing back here because we have a free year trial, because they give you a free year trial if you're new, if your school site, excuse me, is new to the program. And I was just going through checking to make sure that my kids are doing their quizzes, and there are some kids that didn't do any of the quizzes. So during soft starts today, like, what does this flag mean? Some of them will be doing that instead. If a student retakes the quiz after the due date, the score will no longer be highlighted. You may want to ask your students not to retake quizzes past the due dates. So yeah, I was looking at that. Soft starts is going well. We introduced some new games yesterday. It was a little loud, and I said, I don't know if we're just loud because it's the excitement of something new, but today it definitely needs to be quieter, so we'll see how that goes. But really, I'm just here to say good morning, and I will check in with you after school to kind of go over what happened yesterday and share what occurred today. So good morning. Okay, so what's gonna have to happen because it is now 4:05 and I am feverishly trying to get out of here because I need to get to a lash appointment by 4:30, is I'm gonna have to go get my lashes done, okay? And then when I come back, I'll be at home, and I'll have to just kind of tell you about the last couple of days from home. I could wait until tomorrow, but I kind of feel like I want to talk about what happens tomorrow. So that is the plan. So I'm just here to apologize. Like, I don't know, this week has just been like, it's been a short week because we didn't have students on Monday, but sometimes short weeks end up feeling hectic overall. And then I also did not have my prep on Tuesday. So it's like just catching up with me, and I'm gonna have to just be okay with these piles sitting here on my desk and address that in the morning because I don't have time to move piles around. So yeah, hello again. We'll share when I get home, and if not, then I'll have to share all the things tomorrow. So sorry. I'm home. It's 7:30-ish, and I'm really just here to say I'll tell you all the things tomorrow, and really just to document, like, you know, this is teaching. This is really, I've just determined this might be one of those weeks where, because it's just hectic in its own kind of way, this might be a week where I just am not able to exercise before work and really exercise as much as I would like to in general this week. I exercised Monday, so I do have the one day there. Tomorrow's already Thursday, but it's just been, I don't remember the last time I had an after school moment where I didn't have something I had to get to by a certain time, and I didn't have to like leave before I felt like I could leave and go home and not do any work. And it just feels like it's catching up with me a little bit. So as I was walking and saying my little prayers, I said, you know what? Again, you're working on just being more flexible with yourself, having or giving yourself more grace. This is a part of that. So I went and got my lashes done, obviously. Well, maybe not obviously, because I don't know that you can see it. I'm trying to sit you guys on top of something right now. Got my lashes done. You're crooked. Got my lashes done. Stopped at Cava to get dinner because I was like, by the time you get home and walk the dogs, it's going to be too late for you to start cooking. And here we are, 7:30, too late for me to start cooking. I'm halfway ready for tomorrow, so I'm glad I made that decision. And so right now I'm like, you're going to take a shower, do that, eat dinner, and then try and finish your slides for tomorrow. But I need to look at the math lesson, and there I need to set up a slide for the next step in their science fair project, and I want to have all that done like by the time I wake up in the morning, because I also need to get some bread in the morning for the next science fair experiment. I could have done it on the way home from the lash appointment, but I just didn't have the energy to stop at another place, and I wanted to get home and make sure there was enough daylight for me to walk the dogs and still feel safe. So we'll see. I'm not gonna be able to get in the bed by 9:30 and get all that done, which is the bedtime I need to adhere to when I wake up to work out. So we'll see how late it is. But I've already told myself, if you don't work out in the morning, it's gonna be fine. And when I don't work out, I'm really going to bed a little bit later, waking up at 5:30, which is an hour later, but I'm still getting to work a little bit earlier and getting a little bit done. So I'm just, you know, wanting to share the journey of Latanya learning how to just be like, relax, it's okay, the world's not going to come to an end. So tomorrow, I will now talk about what we did on Tuesday, because maybe I shared that? I don't know. Like, I don't think I did. Tomorrow I'll talk about what we did on Tuesday and what we did today, which wasn't really anything like out of the ordinary. It was more so what I wanted to share about yesterday and also what I am going to do tomorrow. So bear with me. It's just one of those weeks and it happens. So I will see you guys tomorrow. As far as I know right now, I do not have anything going on after school tomorrow. I don't have duty. I don't have a meeting. I don't have a manicure appointment. I don't need to get lashes installed. I just have time. And I have my prep tomorrow. So tomorrow should make me feel a little bit better. I did accomplish some things I needed to today. I did get my parent conference stuff sent out, and that was like a priority, so that's good. But anyway, let me get to showering. I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's Thursday. It is 4:15, and I think I have finally gotten to the point in the week where I can show you all the things that I've been alluding to, but just haven't had the chance to do so. So I'm just gonna start with where we are at today and backtrack. And so today was hectic, but let's start with some good news. The good news is my whiteboards are assembled. I forget the person's name, so again, if you are watching this, thank you very much. The idea worked. So you can see, I'm not gonna take them out because it's kind of like a pain right now. I had to buy a roll of jewelry chain from Amazon, and he attached them there so that now the boards can collapse. This is where I think I'm going to store them. If you remember, I was very stressed, and I have been stressed until about a couple of hours ago about where I was going to be putting all these boards, because I have a total of 8, maybe 8 boards. And even though they collapse, oh, that's where the lighting is terrible. Even though they collapse, I just don't have a lot of space in this room. That is the one thing that I miss about my old school, like I've said before, is I never had to worry about storage because I had that whole pod and cabinets and cubbies and all of that. So after some working around and accepting the fact that they're gonna have to be out, there's no little corner I can tuck them in. This cabinet here, I don't think, and actually I'll check, I don't think it has the depth that I need to get the boards in there, but now that I'm saying that out loud, I never even really tried, I just assumed. So for right now, there are 5 of them here, and really what it's gonna be is that this standing whiteboard that is always present just kind of like blocks them or camouflages them is the better word. This is where we put this is where I hang the callbacks and then the lunch tub. So 5 of them are there. And then the other 4 are over here, tucked behind the coat rack. And I think that is the best way I can camouflage them. There is nowhere else for them to go. Trust me, I really tried. I initially tried them over there behind kind of that table, but they were leaned up against the reference wall and then like covering things, and so I just thought that didn't make any sense. So that is the good news. We're going to use those tomorrow. The kids were very excited when they saw them coming in. I took all the whiteboards and gave them to another 5th grade teacher on campus because she needed them and she was very thankful. They were a little tattered, but I mean, they were still definitely usable. So now the question is, where am I going to store these things? So this was all a part of it, because in making these collapsible, or making those collapsible, he had to take off this bottom piece. So this was kind of the thing that was preventing it from collapsing, and those are just holes for cups because it's like an easel where kids can paint and use the other side, which is a chalkboard and all of that. I'm not going to use it for that purpose, but I have all the materials. I'm not gonna not keep these or throw these away because something like this will always come in handy, like these clear cups with tops. And then each board came with a set of markers, some chalk, magnets, and a magnetic eraser. So I'm gonna use the magnetic erasers even though it is not my color scheme. That might be something that I replace next year, but we're gonna deal with it right now. And I also forgot to tell you, last week my class won the attendance trophy for the month, so we're feeling really good about ourselves. So that's the good news for today. Today just turned into be a hectic day because math took longer. We are doing metric conversions, and it was one of those moments where I was like, oh, it's coming back to me now. I remember we altered this when I taught 5th grade before to make it easier for kids. And so it's metric conversions, and what I don't like about Go Math is on the reteach page, which is what I gave them for notes, it does give them like a conversions chart, but it only gives them the chart for certain conversions. And then in the book, it asks them about different kinds of conversions that aren't in the original conversions chart. And it does show them 2 methods, like one using the moving the moving the decimal point, either to the left or to the right. And I don't even remember what the other strategy was, but the kids were just kind of like, what? And then I was like overwhelmed and exhausted by like the confusion. So I said, let's pause. Let's pause on this. Let me see if I can find you a clearer, more easy to look at conversions chart. The math notes that I bought on TPT has it, but I think it's just the format of it isn't as just clear and basic. It's like a little too complicated. So I eventually found one, and at the end of the day, what I said is we're gonna do this lesson today. We're gonna review it tomorrow because I know there's a lot of confusion, but we did practice. I said, guys, it's all gonna be based on powers of 10. And whether it's 1 power of 10 or 2 powers of 10 or 3 powers of 10, whatever power of 10 it is, that is the same number of times you're gonna move the decimal point either to the right if you're gonna be multiplying, or to the left if you're gonna be dividing. And so all we really gotta figure out is if we're going from a larger unit to smaller unit, or smaller to larger, to know if we're multiplying or dividing, and that will determine where we move the decimal point or what direction we move it in. So we're gonna really hit that hard tomorrow, because that was, at some point in the lesson I was like, I'm gonna need to eat some gummy bears after this math lesson, because it was just, we were all just shook. So that took way longer than expected. So I didn't get to science. Their second checkpoint for the science fair project is tomorrow, and what they have to do is develop a hypothesis for it. And because we've been going through these little experiments and learning about variables, and today we started an experiment on control group versus experiment group, I'm adding that to the checkpoint. So the general checkpoint for 5th graders tomorrow is just to have the hypothesis. But I said, because we are learning, or have learned, about independent and dependent variables, and we are going to be learning about your control group and your experiment group, I'm gonna add that to the checkpoint, at least having the variables identified. Because I said, you should know what those are. Like, if you have your topic and you know where you're gonna be changing and not changing, you should know what those are. And when I was asking them about their science fair project topic, I asked everyone, what is the variable that's gonna change? So they should already have a sense of that. So we didn't get to the slides. I was not able to share this with them, but I just created a slide that they have access to on Google Classroom, as well as parents, that gives them the definition of what is a hypothesis. And then, it also gives them some sentence frames they can use, 3 options, okay? So that they have like just a format to use, and they're just basically filling in the blanks. And so we were supposed to do that in class today. We didn't have time, so I'm gonna give them class time tomorrow. And the other thing we did today is we started the 3rd little science fair experiment from the TPT product that I bought. This one focuses on control groups and experimental groups. And I keep going back and forth because I guess not. I guess your control group and your experimental group is not necessarily the same as your independent and dependent variables. So we're gonna be looking at that. Obviously the control group is the group or the item where nothing has changed. And the experimental group is where you're making the changes to whatever it is you're testing. So we're just doing the basic bread mold experiment. And so they have 3 bags. Let me turn this over because it has names on it. And so we did this in rounds. We do it all together. This one I believe is the control bread, meaning nothing has happened to this one. They picked this up with a paper towel, dropped it in the bag, sealed it. This one is where they had dirty hands, and I'll talk about that in a second. This one is where they had clean hands. So after PE today, I took them to the bathroom. I said, you're all gonna have to wash your hands and dry them thoroughly. And I said, and you can't touch anything afterwards. So I made them wash their hands, sit down. They just had to hold their hands like this. And I said, and you just have to keep them like that until we can get your piece of bread into the bag and sealed. And I'm having them work in pairs. There's a couple people that are working by themselves because they don't have a shoulder partner. So I gave them a piece of bread. I had them touch the bread with their clean hands, bag it up. Now, I don't know if I picked the best bread because the suggestion is to use bread with as little preservatives in it as possible. So when I went to the grocery store this morning, I was like, wow, bread is expensive when you're having to buy several loaves at once. So I just went for the most generic brand I could find, and they only had white bread, and it was a big difference in price. Like I think the bread I bought was like $1 and some change, whereas I was trying to get sourdough bread, but there's no generic sourdough bread, and that was like $5 a loaf, and I just wasn't willing to spend that kind of money on bread for an experiment where the bread is just gonna mold. So we'll see what happens there. So they did that. Then after they got the clean bread in the bag, they were gonna get a second piece of bread. I said, so now this one is going to be the dirty hands. And when I tell you this part, they were just so into it. I said, so I'm gonna take you back outside now. I'm gonna walk you around the perimeter of the campus, and your goal is to just touch as many things as possible that is in arm's reach, either this way or that way or hands down. Like touch the poles, touch the pillars. If you want to touch a tree, touch that. One boy was like, can we touch the trash can? I said, if it's in arm's length, you can. I don't know that I would because it's the trash can, but you can. So I took the whole class in one long line. We were playing the silent game as we did it. Like we were just silent, and they were literally, I just was not expecting them to be as into getting their hands dirty as they were. They were really just trying to touch every single thing. And so I brought them back, and before we went into the classroom or walked back into the classroom, I said, now what I wouldn't do, like right now, your hands are filthy. You have touched so many things. So I said, you want to go in there, make sure you touch your second piece of bread, get all that on the bread, but you do not then want to put your hands on your face, in your mouth. You just got to sit still for a minute, and I'll take us to the bathroom so you can wash your hands again. So we did that. They touched the bread, sealed that bag up. We went to the bathroom, washed their hands, and then we came back and did the control bread, where they just got a new piece of bread. They had to pick it up with the paper towel, drop it in the bag, and seal it. So the funny part is when we were coming back from washing our hands, prepping them for the clean bread, they were walking in line like this, and one of the kindergarten teachers was like, why are you guys all, they were either doing this or that. So she was like, what are you guys doing? And so I explained to her it was a science fair, or science experiment. So that was today. Just one of those days, really hectic. I really wish I could have recorded it in real time for people that think all my days go smooth, or I just, like, things are running. This was one of those days where I'm like, this math lesson is falling apart. I'm exhausted. I'm having to regroup. Science is fine. It just took longer than I thought, because I'm not into having the whole class wash their hands in class one at a time. So I chose to take them all outside, use the public bathroom where we can get 3 kids to wash their hands at a time. Plus they got to go outside, walk around. But that took longer than I thought. We'll start observing tomorrow. So we got to no wonders today at all, and we're behind. So That was today. Yesterday, I don't even know. We had a math quiz. We didn't do a science experiment. We did social studies, and we just talked about like political maps, landform maps, and things like that. Yesterday was pretty like chill, nothing out of the ordinary. But what I did want to show you was on Monday, I used this strategy from a training that I took a couple summers ago through Dr. Holly that I think I'm going to use for wonders when you have to introduce the vocabulary words that are associated with the story. And I don't think I mentioned this to you guys. So I'm gonna say it again. So I'm gonna share it now. If I realize I did talk about it, then I'll edit it out, I guess. But I really am starting to feel like I'm getting old because I cannot remember what I've shared earlier in the week versus what I'm sharing in the moment, which is one of the reasons why daily vlogging helps me, because I edit it more quickly so I can see what I've said. I don't look at any of this footage until I'm editing, which is usually on the weekend. But this is called pictorial synonyms. And so what you do is you give them a word. So this was one of the vocabulary words for the stories that we're going to be reading. Accomplish. You give them the definition, there it is, and then you select 6 images. I just did 6 because that was what the example had, and you have them pick as a group, is how I had them work, which image do they feel like is the best depiction of the word, or the best depiction of the word's definition. So I gave them a little bit of time to discuss. I picked one representative for every group, and they would say, we picked this one because, and I really liked it because they picked different ones, but they each had a very valid explanation as to why. So I know one group picked this one and said, well, we're picking this one because she's wearing a medal, because she did something really hard. She has a sign that says hard work pays off. Another group picked number 4, and the girl that was explaining it said, well, because she's like climbing a mountain, and when you're trying to accomplish something, it just feels like you're going up this hill, or like it's a really big challenge. And that all came from her. And so I really liked it. So it went really quickly. Like, we were behind, and we probably did this within the last 10 minutes of class. The next word was anxious. So same thing. And there is no right or wrong answer. Like, after we did the first one, a student was like, well, which one was the right one? And I said, there is no right or wrong answer. It's just the one that you feel is the best depiction of the word and that you can explain it. The one that I thought was interesting, and I did it on purpose, is this one, the word navigate. And I was just curious to see if anybody would pick this one. The definition they were given was, when you navigate, you find your way over or through an area. Most groups picked this one because they were like, she's navigating, like she's looking at a map, she's trying to figure out where she's going. There's arrows pointing in different directions. But then this one, I don't really think anybody, maybe one group, if that, picked it. And I said, I was curious to know if you guys would navigate or pick that one for navigate. I said, because in my opinion, technically, I wouldn't choose that one because a person's not necessarily navigating. In my opinion, it's the actual system or Google Maps or whatever it is that's doing the navigating for you. So I was just curious. And I was actually surprised that so few people, or so few kids, I should say, picked that, because I just assumed that to them, that's what navigate means. But they were like, no, that's not it. So that, I think, is really what I wanted to show you, because I thought it went really well. I thought it was effective, because introducing words that they need to know the meaning of for the purpose of like engaging with the story. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know, I don't want to spend a ton of time like, you know, having them do all these things, but I also want them to understand the word and like acquire it. And so this, I felt like, was a good happy medium, where I felt like, based on their selection of the picture and their reasoning behind it, they had a solid understanding of the word, and it was very efficient. So I think this is the strategy that I'll use. because remember, I'm trying to find a routine with wonders, and this feels like the strategy I will use when we're going over the vocabulary words. So that was that. But it's been a short week, but it's just been so hectic and so crazy. So I'm just glad that today I have time to sit, enter some grades. That's what I'm gonna do. In just a minute, I have to go home and cook. So I'm gonna try and leave at a reasonable hour. Tomorrow is Friday, thank God, hallelujah. The only thing I'm gonna do when I get home is I'm gonna print these out, because we are about to be up on Hispanic Heritage Month. So these are some new posters from Etsy. I'm gonna laminate them, put them in the window. And yeah, that's what's been going on. Just really, really hectic, really, really busy. And I also need to hang these baggies of bread in the window, which I'm not really looking forward to doing. So I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna get those things done, and I will be sure to check in with you before I leave for the day. It's Friday now. It is 6:07. Yes, PM. I'm getting ready to go home. I'm tired. I knew I was gonna be here a little bit later. I think I said that yesterday because I wanted to enter in some grades, things that I've been graded that I just hadn't had time to get into my grade book. And today is our 6-week cutoff, which means we're halfway through the first trimester. And we have parent-teacher conferences the week of September the 22nd. So I just wanted to get to a point where I had some more grades in there. So, oh my gosh. I'm seeing some things broken here. You see this right here? That's children right there. You see how this doesn't have a top? We're gonna have to have a TED Talk on Monday. I'm like, what would you have to be doing? I know what you'd have to be doing. Just being really rough with it. Okay, I'm gonna focus. So I think I was saying, like, I wanted to get some grades entered. There's still some other things I want to get in there, but I feel like I have a fair amount of grades in there for me to feel comfortable during conference week. And then there's a couple more things I can add that are already graded, but I just didn't have the energy to do that. So, and it's 6 o'clock and I need to walk the dog. So as far as today went, it was just very disjointed. It was a rough day in the sense that our schedule is already kind of disjointed with like our lunch time and then our recess time and then the afternoons. Like there's something that I go to every day of the week with the exception of every other Friday. So Monday's a minimum day, so it's short. Tuesday I have PE. Wednesday I have library. Thursday I have PE. Every other Friday I have visual and performing arts, which I had today and forgot about it until the visual and performing arts teacher called and said, hey, visual performing arts. Like I was off. I thought I had it next week. And we had a bubble run today. And we had to go over the math lesson that was like chaos yesterday. We got that all cleared up. We're all good to go. I promptly put a copy of the metric conversions that I use in my Google Drive for next year. So I know, let's just do that. And then they had to work on their hypothesis for their science fair experiment. And I added that I wanted them to identify their independent and dependent variables. And that turned out to be more challenging for them than I anticipated. So I had them just type, I had created a Google Doc for them where they are going to keep track of all their checkpoints. Like the chart has them put their title in it. Today they put their hypothesis in it. And I said, go ahead and identify your independent and dependent variables, and told them if you don't remember what those are, you have your little foldables from all the experiments we've been doing along the way. So they were looking at it, but some of them still had a hard time with that. And then some of them were like, well, what is my control group? And what is my experimental group? I said, well, some of you may or may not have a control group. So we talked about the bread experiment yesterday and said, remember the bread where we did nothing to it. We didn't use clean hands, we didn't use dirty hands. It's just a piece of bread that we put in a bag using a paper towel. That's the control group, meaning that's the piece of bread that nothing's gonna happen to it. So I said some of you may not necessarily have a control group, but everyone's gonna need to have an independent and dependent variable. So once it got to the point where I'm like, there are 25 of you asking me very specific questions about your very specific science fair project, and there's only one of me, I said, okay, look, just go ahead and type in what you think your independent and dependent variables are in your Google Doc, and I'll have to go in and look at it and make suggestions and or changes if necessary, because there was just no way. I'd be talking to one child and like 2 others are like doing this, meaning they have a question or trying to ask me a question. And it just was an exhausting day because of that. Like, it just didn't feel like we got to a point where anything was smooth. I was already just mentally tired because I knew we're behind where I wanted us to be by the end of the week, specifically or in regards to wonders. But I mean, I was really trying my best. I just couldn't get it done. So I had to let that go. I'll have to get over it. And so I stayed after school, cleaned up the room because it was a mess. The way the room looked after school really was a reflection of what the day was like. So I cleaned it up, put in some grades, and here we are. I also hung up my new, let me see, I don't want to get too close because the bread has names on it. But I hung up my new Hispanic Heritage Month posters, so I was excited about that. So there they are. They will be up for the month. And that's it. So I'm really just here to close the vlog. I feel like this week was hectic and just kind of a little chaotic for me. And I wouldn't be surprised if the vlog comes across that way. But that is real life. But if you enjoyed watching whatever it turns out to be, please give this video a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you know when I upload the video. It'll probably be sometime tomorrow. And if you'd like to leave a comment, please do. As I say, all that helps keep me motivated and shares the reality of the teaching world through Latanya's eyes with more people. So I appreciate all of those things. But as always, aside from all of that, I hope that you are well. Especially in this particular moment in time. And if you're not well, please be well. And I will see you guys next week in the next vlog. Goodbye.